to another episode of Barbell Therapy. I'm your host, I'm Kate, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about macro tracking, tracking your food, and why it doesn't have to be restrictive. So a little bit of a different scenery we've got going on for this podcast, mostly because we have been doing some wedding stuff in my office, also like where I kind of keep all of my craft stuff, and it's literally a mess, and I have limited time to record this morning. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go sit in the chairs in our room and make it work. But I wanted to talk a little bit about calorie restriction, food restriction, calorie tracking, because I was talking to someone recently and she has been trying to lose weight, and I've known her for a little while, right? And she's been trying to lose weight and she really likes to go to the gym, and like she was like, from our conversation, what I've realized is that nutrition is one of those things that is just like doesn't come natural to her, and it seems like she's kind of all over the place. Like she's the workout part, she's kind of got down, she really enjoys it. She doesn't really have a lot of time for it, but she enjoys it, right? But like the nutrition aspect is kind of where she struggles. So when we were talking about it, she was telling me how she doesn't want to track her food because she doesn't like someone telling her how much to eat, weighing things, or being super restrictive. And it really got me to thinking that, like, you know, there is a lot of restriction when it comes to tracking, in the sense where you have to restrict your calories. But here's the thing. When it comes to losing weight, you have to restrict your calories. There is no other way around it, right? At the end of the day, we have to eat less than we're currently expending in order to lose weight, right? You see all these people online, all of these influencers talking about how they're helping people lose weight by eating more, but they're not giving you any context behind that. So I want to like touch on that. And then I want to go into, you know, restrictive eating, calorie counting, things like that. When it comes to going into a calorie deficit or into a dieting phase, you know, a lot of the times we go from being in a high surplus to then just crash dieting, right? Like you don't track your food and you're just like eating whatever you want. And then you get to this point where you're like, I want to lose weight. And you join that 30-day challenge and they give you these macros or these calories, or you turn on MyFitnessPal and it gives you your weight loss calories. And you at this point are probably cutting like 1,000 calories from your diet. So of course you're going to feel crappy, low energy, like you're super restrictive, because you never really got down there. You just went into that crash diet phase, right? And then the other part of it is like you're yo-yoing constantly. So you're on Weight Watchers here, you're on whatever that other one that starts with an O over here, and like keto over here, and whatever it is. And like you're constantly on this diet, and or you're in a surplus. So you're going back and forth and back and forth. And so what happens is your metabolism is going back and forth and back and forth, right? So when you're looking at these coaches and these influencers talking about people that are eating more but still losing weight, it's because they're helping these people get into like a maintenance phase, right? So there is still some restriction. You still can't eat whatever you want. Yes, they're eating more than maybe they were during their crash diet phase or during their 1,200 calorie phase because they were so scared of food. But at the end of the day, they're in this like maintenance phase, right? So they went from eating 1,000, 1,200 calories, whatever it is, to reverse dieting up to eating more and eating at their base level, eating the amount of calories they need to maintain the current body weight they have. Now, what happens there is that when you start to see fat loss from that, it's because our body no longer has to hold on to all of the things that we're eating in order to feel like it needs to survive, right? That's coming from a fat loss phase. You're not going to see a coach take you who's eating in a current surplus, who's eating more calories than you're currently, you know, what your maintenance is, and get you to eat more to lose weight. I know that that's what you want the answer to be, but it's not, right? So that's the little bit of background there. Once you're in established maintenance phase and we're comfortable and the body is like responding really well, that's when we can kind of go into a calorie deficit to allow for fat loss. But that is where you're seeing that on the internet. Now, I do want to talk about calorie restriction, obviously. So when it comes to maintenance phases, again, you still have to restrict. You still have to count your calories. You still have to make sure that you're only eating at maintenance, right? Like, you can't just go eat whatever you want, because chances are that's how you ended up in a surplus and gaining weight in the first place, right? So then we have to eat at calorie maintenance, or, in a calorie deficit. And yes, there is restriction that comes along with that, because you have to eat a certain amount of calories and not go over that threshold in order not to gain weight, right? Like, so that is just a part of the process. If you want to lose weight, that is just a part of the process. And whether you do that by keto, fasting, portion control, Weight Watchers, whatever you choose to do, that is what's going to happen. You have to eat less than you are expending. So there is calories and restriction involved with that. Now, when it comes to tracking food and weighing food and things like that, here's what I want to remind you. You can't also eat pizza every day and only eat 1,200 calories worth of pizza and lose weight. And the reason for that is because you're not giving your body what it needs to survive, right? Like, so yes, if you're wanting to eat pizza and mac and cheese and chicken tenders every day, and you go to put that in your nutrition calculator, 100% calorie tracking is going to feel really restrictive, because those things are not nutritious. They're super high in fat, and fat has a lot of calories in it. So like for every 1 gram of fat, you have 9 calories. So if you're eating 10 grams of fat, that's near 100 calories in worth of just fat alone. And then on top of that, when you're constantly just dousing oil into your food, or putting slabs of butter on everything that you're eating, that's a lot of calories that you're eating that you're not counting and taking into account, right? So like, you have to remember that the types of food that you're eating and what you're eating is so critical. If you are with learning how to have a more balanced, nutritious diet overall, you're going to be in a better place, because you're going to start feeling a little bit more full. Your body's going to have more energy from all the nutrients you're giving it. You're sending your brain signals that you're full, so it doesn't feel that need to constantly eat and crave. If you're exercising more, it's going to make you feel like you don't need to eat as much. It's going to curb your hunger cues. These are things that come along with tracking. So like, while yes, tracking can be slightly restrictive in comparison to you deciding to, just make a huge rice bowl and then eat whatever you want out of it, right? Like, it is some sort of restriction there. But that's what you have to do in order to lose weight. Like, there is no other way around it. So when it comes to losing weight, at the end of the day, it's just a part of the process. Now, the other reason that I am a big fan of tracking macros is because tracking macros allows us to truly identify and understand what it is that we're eating, right? So again, eating 1,200 calories is not all the same, okay? Eating 1,500 calories, 2,000 calories, doesn't really matter. Eating those calories in whatever you want doesn't have the same value of making sure that you have a balanced diet. So making sure that we are eating adequate amounts of protein, and then also tracking our carbs and fats, not necessarily because we want to be like very strict between those two, right? It's because we need to understand your body. So if you're someone who deals with some digestion issues, and we notice that you're continuously having this incredibly high fat diet, we might have to pull some fat down because your body might not be able to tolerate that. Speaking from experience. And then if you're somebody who is just having a lot of bloating issues, you're not really sure where this is coming from, and we're taking a look and you're eating 7 grams of fiber a day, right? From there, we can make that adjustment and try to increase your fiber and potentially see, some effects on that sense. Or we can look at what you're eating and see maybe there is a common pattern, something that you're eating every day that is a typical food that bloats people, for example. Now, I will give you a personal story. I have been eating Brussels sprouts for literally years. Like, I like Brussels sprouts. I really like to roast them. They taste delicious with a little bit of balsamic. Never really thought anything of it. They're a vegetable. I don't like broccoli, by the way, but I started to like baby broccolini. I like asparagus. These are 3 vegetables that were common, super freaking common in my diet. And I was bloated every day. And I found out from my nutrition coach, shout out to Chelsea, that these are very commonly difficult foods to digest, right? So it's very common for people to not be able to digest these well. They cause bloating, etc., right? So I literally cut those out of my diet and I was like, I see. And then the other part of it is like water. Now, I am pretty good about water, but I go through periods where like it's just really hard for me, and it's just because, there's a lot of excuses I make, but whatever. Sometimes water is just really hard for me. And then what I've noticed is that that is also a common source of bloating. So all of these things I can only see and understand by tracking, right? Because now once I cut the broccoli or once I cut the Brussels sprouts out of my diet, if I don't see any more bloating, great. But if I did, we'd still have to figure out where that's coming. It could also be out of lifestyle. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be food. It could be your lifestyle. So again, personal example, I am a collegiate strength and conditioning coach. So I feel like I walk around all day long. That is true on certain days when I'm really busy. What I didn't realize is that it's not as much activity as I initially thought when I'm only there for the morning, or I'm only there for the afternoon, or whatever it is. Like, when I go to a soccer game, I literally stand for the whole 2 hours. Okay. Well, 3 hours even, because of the warm up. And I just assumed that I was walking around getting a lot of steps in. Well, I wasn't getting as much as I thought. Yes, I'm standing, but I'm not necessarily like moving around the whole time. So I'm not getting as much activity as I thought I was, right? So all of these things, again, are not things that I would have recognized if I didn't start some sort of tracking or understanding of it. Tracking is all about the data. It's all about the data, and it's helping you get to a goal. Now, the goal is not necessarily for you to track the rest of your life, right? The goal is for you to track and understand portions and understand how certain things affect your body and what hunger cues you're feeling and how things are satisfying you and things like that. And for you to be flexible in the sense where, okay, you want to go out to dinner? Great. You know what you want to eat. You want to like blow all of your calories or whatever on dinner. That's totally fine. But throughout the rest of the day, if you know that's going to happen, you're like, okay, I know that dinner is going to be low in protein, high fat, probably high in carbs. So what am I going to do for the rest of the day? I'm going to make sure that maybe I don't snack throughout the day. I just have my breakfast and my lunch, and I try not to snack for the rest of the day. Or maybe if I'm really hungry, I'll nibble on some carrots or some celery or something like that, because I know what's coming for dinner. Not because I'm trying to be restrictive, but because I'm saying, hey, I'm really excited about this dinner. How do I still achieve my goals while being really flexible? Okay, so I'm flexible to have whatever I want at dinner, but I need to take care of the rest of the day. Now, are you going to hit your calories if you try to do this? Absolutely not. Understanding that foundation of nutrition and protein and carbs and vegetables and fiber and things like that will allow you to create a day where when you go have that dinner, you can enjoy it and not feel like crap tomorrow, right? Like, it's the tomorrow part that I'm most worried about. And then I'll give you another good example. We are super close to this wedding. I think we're like, 20 something days at this point, like 2.5 weeks or whatever it is. No, really, I want to figure out what it is. Okay, 3 weeks from yesterday is when our wedding is. And I was like, you know what? One, we need to save money because weddings are expensive. And two, I know I'm not traveling with soccer. I know I'm not traveling at all in these couple of weeks. And I was like, you know what? This is it. I am going to eat at home for every single meal. Now, as I was planning out the weekend, I was like, okay, this is going to be really hard for me because typically when we go to soccer games, even if they're home, Johnny will go out and he'll get us something to eat, and then we'll eat it at the soccer game. And that has been our thing for the last year and a half. And I was like, okay, well, we're not going to be able to do that. So what are we going to do? Whatever. And I was thinking to myself, like, what is it that like really makes me want to eat away from home and not at home? And part of that is like the variability of food, right? So, when you go out to eat, you're eating things that you don't typically make at home. So I was like, this is what we're going to do. We are going to plan some really fun meals, and we're going to go out and we're going to shop for them. And by we, I mean Johnny, because he's the best. going to go shop for them and we're going to do that. So I sat there on Friday night and I was like, okay, what are some things that I was craving? I was craving chicken tikka masala. I really wanted like some yummy wrap or something because I wanted to go on a picnic on Saturday. And I saw mac and cheese, so I really wanted some mac and cheese. Johnny really wanted pizza. So we were like, okay, these are things that we're craving, and that if we eat them throughout this weekend, we're going to feel really satisfied and not feel like we have to go out to eat because we're going to look forward to making them, right? So I sat there and was like, okay, so these are some really big meals that we're planning. Let's put them into the calculator. So it wasn't me being restrictive. It was saying, hey, I'm going to put these into the calculator so I can understand what I need for breakfast and throughout the day, like what I want to have for snacks. Now, yesterday, for example, on Saturday, we had a normal breakfast. I went to work. We went for our picnic and had this big wrap and it was delicious. And then afterwards, we went on a bunch of errands that required coffee. And when I went to Starbucks, I really wanted a flat white, which has a lot of milk in it. Even though it's non-fat milk, there's a lot of carbs in like 10 ounces or whatever, 8 ounces of milk. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do a cold brew and I'm going to put a little bit of almond milk that has like basically no calories when it's just a splash. And then I'm still going to get my 1 pump of pumpkin, right? Like it's 60 calories. It is what it is. When we did that, I also knew that I was going to have to adjust whatever snacks I had for the day. So rather than having a full pancake, I needed to have half a pancake for dessert. And that is just kind of like how we plan the day. It's not being restrictive. I still got all the things that I wanted to eat out of the day. I just needed to tailor things around a little bit to make it all work. And that is the key and the biggest emphasis around tracking, right? So part of that, and I will end this here. Part of that is your mindset. You have to change your mind that tracking is restrictive. You have to understand that there is a sacrifice that comes with wanting to achieve your goals. And if you're unwilling to do that, then you're not ready for a fat loss goal yet. And that is okay. That is fine. But that is where we are. So, a lot of clients come to me and we're not ready for a fat loss goal yet. So that's maybe what we want, but we have such different mindsets about eating. And so some of them, I have to get them to eat 3 meals a day. Some of them, I have to get them out of the habit of snacking. It really depends on like where you're at in the process. We have to figure out where you're at, what your mindset is around food. We have to kind of come to an even terms of that. And from there, we can go into a calorie deficit. So I want you to understand that. I want you to truly take that in and understand that calorie tracking is not about being restrictive. It's about creating the data to allow you to be successful throughout your day, to help you understand the hunger cues and help you understand your body and how it responds to certain food, and be able to sustain a healthy lifestyle from years to come. I hope you got something out of this episode. It's a topic that I feel really passionate about and something that I really work hard with my clients on. And you can ask them. They all understand their calories and they're super excited to have that flexibility in their life, even though they know that they're tracking. So if this is something that you need help on, my DMs are open and I will